Happy New Year to all of you, and welcome to the next prompt. Four founders are in the room today, and uh, in the new year, what we thought we'll start with is one of the questions we get asked. All of us could have taken a different path. So, why did we choose to build something from scratch? And we thought it's the start of a new year. It's a good way to reflect on 2025 when the company was started. And the biggest question we get asked is just why? And people are just curious to understand why. I have with me Pandurang, Kamal, and Ashish. So, Pandurang, before we get started, the episode we dropped towards the end of December
Yeah.
that we don't use email internally, that seemed to have generated a lot of discussion, right? This is something new that people did not anticipate that a company can operate if you don't email each other inside the company, right? How do you work? And is that for real? Or maybe it works only because you are a startup, you're a small team, and so on. But uh, how was your experience? Did people also reach out to you?
Yeah, no, it's the same, the curiosity that, how we were able to replace internal emails, what are the alternatives, and more going into the in-depth. But the overall, I think the feedback was that we are on a right path, cutting through the chaos, and, calmness is the new fast, right?
Yeah, it's quite fascinating actually for a lot of people how to work without emails.
Yeah. And this was more symbolic, is how we also shared that it's not just about email. Email is just the beginning. What we are doing is reimagining the way companies work. And we've always said we want to be a prototype of the company of the future where people are free to work. And that's the manifesto that we started with. And that's a good segue to answer the question that people ask. You could have done, you had an exit, you built a company earlier, and you could have maybe joined some board, become an advisor to startups, become an angel investor somewhere. Why take the risk and start a completely new venture from scratch? Because again, no matter how many times you've done it, every new startup it's a new market, it's a new reality, it's a new team, new company. Odds are against you, and there are millions of companies that get started every year. Why take that path? And I thought maybe we'll start this new year discussion reflecting a bit on the 9 months or so of 2025 that we have been in existence. Do you reflect on it? Why did you start? Do you have regrets that you started?
No regrets, but maybe let me go first. For me, when I reflected on what moments in my career gave the most satisfaction and joy, right? It was when I was working with teams, not very large teams, but small teams that were driven, passionate about creating something meaningful, passionate about their craft. And then combining that with the one thing that I felt gave me purpose, which is working on cutting edge of technology, understanding it, not just for the hype that it brings, but actually making things work and adding value, right? And then building with passionate people, creating beautiful experiences. So that really was something that Suzega was trying to do from grounds up. And I think in these kind of times, uh, we can't sit on the sidelines and just cheer, right? You have to, the greatest joy comes from being an operator, diving in, rolling your sleeves, and figuring out what you can do with this wave. So that was the motivation, really.
To me, it was kind of a twofold with the two purposes. One, uh, the way AI is changing, how the workplace should be and how we all should be working. Uh, Most of the manual tasks, or most of the tasks, are getting automated. So the real value of humans is looking at how we can you know use their judgment, their creativity, and ensure that they have enough autonomy to work in their own way or at their own pace. And traditional organizations are wired differently. So that was the first one, and the second one was culture. Actually, the culture is the first one in that way, especially when it is built on a trust and uh, autonomy and the transparency and the mutual respect. So those were the major drivers for me to look and see that if we can bring that culture to everyone around us. To me, building a team, or today the play is most like a team play where coaches are there to set up the strategy, but nobody is micromanaging the player when they are in their role and they are playing. So everyone knows their role. They can perform their role for a common cause, which is let the team win in that moment or win that game. So those were two primary drivers for me. Number one being how AI is bringing in that change, and the second is a trust and the mutual respect based culture. And I believe that we are trying to bring that, and to a certain extent, in the last 8 to 9 months, we are able to make that impression internally and externally that we are on a different path where we work with the mutual respect, we work with the craft and the mastery in our own respective areas.
Yeah, it's actually a very deep question. Why did we start it? Suzega. Suzega, as you know, the word, right? It means calm. It means the state of mind when your mind feel fulfilled. But you can't have that when you're carrying a decades-old corporate anchor. You can't fly if you're stuck in a corporate cage. And that is why we wanted to start Suzega. We didn't want to just build another services company. We wanted to build a sanctuary for restless minds like me who are looking for that freedom. And most importantly, we wanted to redefine what freedom really means for the workplace. Freedom from hierarchy, freedom from endless meetings, the cubicle wars, the status quo, freedom from the risks that I want to take, and freedom to build something better together. And that is why we really built Suzega. Because at the end of the day, life is nothing without freedom to choose your direction. And that's why we
Yeah,
started
well,
Build Suzega.
very well said, Kamal. And I think that comes out in our manifesto as well that we
Yes.
wrote upfront. And one of the things we ask people who want to apply or join the team is, just go read the manifesto. Right? This may or may not be for you because it's quite an unusual company in a way. So it's out there. I think it's suzega.com/manifesto. If those who want to go and take a read, and it starts exactly what Kamal is saying, asking you the question that when was the last time you were free to do what you really wanted? That is the question we started asking, and to me, that was the driver. That the question why people ask, why did we take the risk? Why do you start from scratch? Because if we had such a company somewhere, we would all gone and worked there. But one doesn't exist, and the primary reason was to create that environment where there is freedom to create, work at a natural pace, freedom to innovate, reach mastery in what we do, and reach contentment at the end of the day. Now you can't do that unless you have a financially viable company and paying clients, and uh, so you really have to start your way and work your way backwards. And to me, it became very clear that one is we started by saying the way we work is broken, and the industrial age mindset is what is stopping us and talented folks from really unleashing their potential. And with AI, there's a fear of automation and automating away a lot of human work. And we thought that doesn't seem right. What makes us human? We actually need to double down on what makes us human. And then the key idea or the concept was: can human flourishing become a business strategy? That can the reason why a company becomes profitable and company is more differentiated in their market and more competitive, can it be because they focused on human flourishing and they doubled down on humanity when AI was at the doorstep to go and automate away everything? And then we started talking to the market. And what we heard was, I need to build AI capability, but I'm stuck with my legacy systems, and I have a production environment to run. My budgets are getting squeezed. There's a technical debt that I need to take care of. My cloud migration and modernization has not been completed yet. And then there's the pressure to go and innovate and get ready for the future with AI and so on. And there were not that many options. So we'll talk about what all of you were hearing, that what were the options and why we thought a whole new category of companies is required, that we are calling it the innovation studio model. And we'll talk a little about how did that idea came about. Right? We didn't know that when we started. The reason we started was seeing that something is broken, something fundamentally different has to be created, and that was the motivation. We were not chasing valuations, not chasing growth, profits, numbers, quarterly numbers, none of that. That will come. But if we focus clearly on the inside out, which is fix the way we work, and the second was the outside in. Can such a talented team, which is working without any fear, has psychological safety, has the freedom to innovate, create, master their craft, work at a natural pace, if we are able to attract that kind of a talent, I'm pretty sure we can bring in the angle of human flourishing for our clients and help them see that that can be a business strategy in this age of AI.
To me, it looked like pretty similar to how cloud was in 2007 and 8. When that whole transformation started, everyone was in the early phase was very scared of cloud. They didn't want it to move anything out, and the security was one of the biggest concern. I see similar patterns happening here in the AI age right now, and also the whole market segment that we're looking at, right? So cloud took almost 10 to 12 years to get adoption into enterprises. We are seeing much faster adoption of AI that is happening in enterprises right now. The whole we I personally believe it's going to be much shorter cycle this time. In next 4 to 5 years, most of the enterprises will be running on AI, and most importantly, the human angle that is in each enterprise is focusing on the experience that they're delivering to their customer for their products that they're trying to deliver or services. And AI is going to do most of the grunt work behind the scene, is how I see it shaping up.
Yeah, and speaking of customers, while on the consumer side, there's tremendous progress that's happening on the frontier models, and frontier research labs are talking about when will we have AGI and so forth. Everyone's speculating on that. What enterprises are really grappling with it is, how do I make the best use of what exists today? Because they are struggling with that. They're struggling because of multiple reasons, right? Their data and their systems of records and their legacy systems have to keep up with the evolving technology, and they are not. The data is messy. So if you want to really make sense and bring intelligence into the enterprise, first thing is you have to clean up the data. Second, they are trying to say that, okay, you have all these things every single day, every week, more progress seems to be being made in AI and its application than what used to happen in years sometimes in the past. How do I even absorb this? How do I figure out what's hype, what's real? And then how do I adapt into my enterprise? And that's where there's a bit of a disconnect and an opportunity that we saw, which is there are all these SaaS companies that are saying, here is the newest AI enabled version of my SaaS. It's got all these agents, it's doing all these great things. And enterprises are struggling to educate and adapt to those interfaces. On the other end, you have people who don't understand the business well, but come with heavy-handed technology view and try to make that work inside the enterprise. So there is really a gap where they need someone who can help them make sense of the technology, but really deeply understand the business, the workflows, and create the right human experience in there to make AI successful. And that is where I think Suzega and our vision and the way we do things with innovation streaming, with our pods delivering something every 6 weeks. It gives that comfort to these clients. It makes them see AI active in production in their processes within those 6 to 8 weeks, and then it starts to make sense, right? So to me, that was the biggest opportunity that was going untapped.
Exactly. Yeah. The fast time to market, the scarce AI talent, and the collective wisdom, right? Collectively, we had decades of experience amongst us on many different fronts. We thought we have all the right ingredients to come up with a completely new category. Now, why new category, right? Why not uh, use a proven business model? Because the IT services and the technology business model itself is being completely questioned or transformed. Because the first thing these AI companies did is try to automate their own job for convenience. Obviously, you want the coding to be done by agents, and you want the whole as many stages of the software lifecycle that can be completed by the agentic AI. We wanted to automate that. So it turned out that our own industry, software and technology, was the first one to see the power of AI. And when we saw that, if the AI can do a lot of the coding steps, what does it have? It needs access to the file system so it can write the code and it can edit the code. It needs access to the network, and it can run tasks on a first it was a few minutes. Well, first it was autocomplete, then a few minutes, and now with 30, 40 minutes. If that's how it's affecting our own industry, we can see how other business processes that can be automated. But it has to be guided with that collective wisdom at scale that we bring to the table. We can accelerate this further with guaranteed outcomes. And so all the dots were kind of being laid out on the drawing board. And what really brought the whole thing together is the whole experience where we put that's what the breakthrough, I think, that we said the expert pods, humans who have done enterprise IT, who have done enterprise class applications and data systems and understand the security and the pressures on, especially in industries that have a lot of regulations. What does their reality look like? So it has to be guided by expert pods, number one, or experts. There has to be a software component to it. We can't always start from scratch. And that's where a need for an AI, we are calling it a fabric. It's not a platform. It's a combination of software, best practices, industry templates, the guardrails, and blueprints and playbooks. And it's a combination of all of those. And it's not just slideware or fluff, but it has to be real. That's what makes us deliver things faster. And we needed brain trust. It's an idea we copied from Pixar. So all of these things sitting on top of our cultural foundation that attracts the best talent in the industry, when all that started coming together, that's where this notion of Ithara as a complete experience that we can deliver, that is based on trust, accountability. That's how it started coming together. So that's the picture, right? 2026, whether it's an AI super cycle or it's an AI bubble, we are not here to speculate, and we are not in the business of predictions. We are here in the business of helping our clients prepare for the uncertain future that lies ahead of us because of AI. Now, how it takes shape, whether it's a bubble, what does this year or 5 years from now look like? One thing is pretty clear. We have created an intelligence that even at the current state, forget about whether it reaches human levels or not, even at the current state, there is tremendous commercial value that can be extracted out of it. So with that, I think the message that we have is pretty clear. We talked about how or what were our motivations to start over when each one of us could have been doing something else. Why did we start a brand new company? And then what we saw when we reached out into the market was jarring. That companies that are trapped in the impossible situation, like keep today running, fix yesterday, build tomorrow, all at once. And with broken model, you go to an IT services company, they have a pyramid of people. You go to a SaaS company, they have a platform which again needs customization, integration, and so on. Go to consultants, they have beautiful slides, and everyone wants to create a dependency on them. And we are taking a completely different and a very fresh approach. We are saying, human flourishing is not about our marketing. It's our legal structure. That's why we call ourselves a public benefit corporation. So our bet is pretty simple. Like, free people do the best work, and that creates outcomes that will be phenomenal for our clients. So there you have it. That's really as simple as that. We've laid out our strategy out in the public. If anyone else wants to copy it, the more people copy it, the better. Right? That's why we are saying one of our public benefits is to share how we work. We are pioneering a new way of working, and we want more companies to adopt that. And we also want to pioneer the thought that AI has to be adopted with humanity in the front and center. On our website, I'm always reminded of the picture of Earthrise that was taken in the late 1960s, when everybody was fascinated with the moon landing, and so on. But which is like the AI of today. What captured our attention was not the moon, but the way the Earth looked back when you look from the moon. And there was a picture that NASA released called the Earthrise. So to me, that is a great metaphor for what humanity is. That AI is allowing us or forcing us to really ask the hard philosophical question, which is, what makes us human? So in that sense, we thank AI for showing that reality and bringing that sense of urgency at our doorsteps. And um, eh, our message or our promise that our brand or our company is making to our clients is no more pilots, no more slide decks, production AI that just works 6 weeks, 8-week cycles, and build your own AI capability, amplify what your people are really good at, and results that you can measure, a clear ROI. Now, if that resonates with you, now whether you are a leader who is navigating the transformation, or a creator who wants to join that mission, join us as a team member. We'd love to hear from you. So subscribe to the next prompt. We also write newsletters from time to time, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you are ready to talk, reach out, read our manifesto. So here's to starting over in 2026, and see you next week.
Happy New Year.